Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Right, we're on. We're on. Let me get everything up. Just wait for a couple more to join. Right, so what I'm going to talk about today is testing some pools and showing how, rather than holding crypto, you can yield it in DeFi, in liquidity pools, and make an ROI back. But people misunderstand when they get into a pool and the APR is lower than they expected, and then they get upset that it's lower than they got promised and freak out. I'm also showing a shitcoin pool that I've been running, and the shitcoin pool I'm going to keep and just show you guys stream after stream and log how much it actually makes me. So let's get into it. Now, we've got on here, in fact, it's probably easy to show this first. Right, let's just zoom in. This is a screenshot of me testing a number of pools in a 24-hour period. So what we've got, to break it down, we've got, this is a shitcoin pool, ETH, and I've no idea what this is, but I saw that it was, I think it was 6,000%. So I put $100 in and we're testing that. This here was another one up, BTC, whatever the hell that is, up. This only had a 15% range, so I've kind of ditched this now, but this was like 500%, so I've got rid of that, so we don't need to kind of worry about that one. I've got the wrapped ETH USDC pool, and I've put a bit more in. It was about 1K there. I've put a bit more in today. And then we've got 3 ETH Kita pools, slightly different ranges. Same deposit was $100, and then we've got daily rewards with a variation on here. And I've put into ChatGPT for each of these pools and worked out what the actual APR is compared to the projected APR. And I'm going to show you exactly why it is different and how it can vary depending on when you enter the pool. So if we zoom out a bit, so we've got here what I actually earned in that 24-hour period, what is the APR was. Ignore this one here, this middle one. This was the one that went out of range quickly. And then I've worked out the actual APR based off this. So the 6,000, 2,000% one was 695, 104% was 42. This was 284, even though it went out of range. 24% was actually above that, 63. 270 was actually 18, and 125 was actually 9.8. And the main reason for that was this. Because people look at the APR, and the big thing about the APR is it's an average, right? So if this is saying 6,200, 100%, 24%, 270%, 125%, that is just basically an average over a number of days of what is projected to do over a year. However, when the volume is low, and I'm going to show you for a particular pool, it means a lower APR than stated on here. And these fluctuate all the time, because if you look at them now, this is saying 7,000%, and a lot of these have varied. So going back to this on here, if we were to pick out this ETH pool, wrapped ETH USDC on base, this one, 50% width. It's got more in it now, but just for the basis of this, and $3 worked out around 42% over the year. However, the reason it was lower than the 104 stated, if we look on here, this is obviously the price action. But look at the volume. So this is the volume in the last 24 hours. And I'll zoom in actually even more. Better. This is the volume in the last 24 hours. Here, in between. So the volume here, compared to if I started this pool, say, here, I would have seen, double, triple than what I got. So sometimes when people are starting, and it doesn't matter if the price goes up or down because it's volume. The fees are based on volume, not price. So you see all these low days here. This is where the fees would have been super low. And when looking at doing a comparison like this, you would have seen that the fee, the real APR, is a lot lower on these days, but a lot higher on these days. And obviously, if we're taking into consideration how it works out the APR, it's based on an average. So if you looked at this pool here, and obviously it's based on how long the pool was open, look at this day here. Insane fees you would have got that day. And if you zoom out, or should I say zoom in, let's just say you started this pool in 2026, your average, considering that was the high and the low was here, would have been here. And that's how it's working out for this particular pool. This isn't, exact science, obviously. It's saying 104, I think it was. Let's have a look what it's saying now. It's saying 107% now. Oh no, 109, it's just gone up. So it's now saying 109%. Whereas on this screenshot, it was saying 104%. The reason it's going up is the average. So again, when you get in a pool, here, like I said, that would have been the 104 there. But yesterday, this base is here, only 24 hours. That's why I was at 42. That's why you're only seeing 42, because of the difference in between here from this, which is what you would have got in 24 hours, and the average over the lifetime of the pool, which was 104. And this is why it is imperative that you test, but give it a decent amount of time, give it a decent amount of time, because if you think about it, if you started testing a pool. What day is it today? Is it 19th? If you started testing the pool from here across, this is all the data you would have. And if that's the high and that's the low, obviously you'd be in the middle here for your daily gains and projected forward what you're going to get, as opposed to starting it when it's low. And it's the same with high. I've posted screenshots of guys, in the chat and stuff that have started with their pools and they've got ridiculous gains. And the reason they've got ridiculous gains is because they started maybe up here on the high volume days. Yeah. And it varies over time. You can see, look at this here back in July, absolutely massive spikes in the summer. And here, lots of volume. And then here, crazy volume. So there's loads of different peaks and troughs over the course of it. So there you go, that is why it is imperative to test all the time. And if we look at this is what I'm going to test on stream. This one here. So this actual coin, I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm just doing it for an experiment. I've actually got more in the pool now than I started with. I started with $100. So this is Clone CH. Let's have a look at it. So this is it at the moment. There's been a spike in price today. This is obviously a shit coin. 8 million market cap, ridiculous circulating supply. Don't know what it does. Yeah. On base, it's an AI coin. And if we go back to this is what I'm going to test. So there's 138,000 total value locked, 2,000 in range. I've got $100, obviously. And it's getting 7,000%. And I've earned $4. So in theory, if this is saying I'm going to get $20 a day, in theory, in 5 days, I'll have my money back. And I'm just going to show you guys on screen and on the streams how this progresses in terms of if it gets rugged or whatever. But to me, it's only $100, so it is what it is. I've got the more that I've added to this ETH USDC pool, so I'm going to keep topping that up. And then we've got the 3 ETH and Kita pools here. So we've got Farm and 2 others, Native ETH and Wrapped ETH. And like I said, this one that says 25% is actually running at 64, and these are actually running lower just because of the average. Got in there. Need a little help. Ask me any questions you want. And if you want to check your pool to think, why has the API not been like it is? Just check the volume on that particular pair. Sometimes it's hard to pinpoint the exact pool, but you can kind of get a basis for it by searching the coin pairing. So obviously we've got the ETH Kita one that I mentioned. and it is going to show, see the volume down again was a lot higher. 200k there, only 2k in the last few days. And look at this back in Jan, 1 million volume. People don't give anything long enough to test. I mean, look at this one here, 1.2 million. That was only a month ago. So it's like, if your pool isn't doing well, volume-wise, sit tight, because you're going to get peaks and troughs of the pool, right? This volume may not be low for ages. It may pick up. So again, just like you are holding a token and waiting for the price to go up, the same can be said for the volume. You know, people are impatient. And if they don't get the ROI straight away, if they don't get the return that they're looking for straight away, they panic. And this is what Ian's doing now. ETH USDT, 500% APR, currently coming in at 0.5%. You'll have to give me a bit more details, because there's the range you've got, total value locked, what chain it's on, etc., etc. Do you agree with the 4-year cycle production with BTC lows in October? Maybe yes, maybe no. But my kind of concentration is gaining yield from the pools this year and actively making sure that these are gaining value, because, you know, spending all of 2025 waiting for price action, if I accept that it may not come this year and I can attain more stable coins and native coins that I want, then that is good for me. That is good for me. And again, I'm going to get into another Keter pool. I'm going to give it some more days to get into a decent one, and then I will scale up into that. And then the same with the ETH USD one, USDC. And then, of course, just watch what happens with this particular shitcoin pool here. But again, it is essential that you check the volume for all these pairings and knowing how the APY has been hit, APR. Because for this, again, whatever pool you're in, there may have been a crazy trading day that has skewed that APR. Reduced width. So I presume, is it out of range? Has it gone out of range if it's reduced width? And if you are unsure what I'm talking about when I say reducing width, so this is what I mean. So this here is a particular width. And this is how it works with the pools. So when it's in between here, we're printing. Anytime the price goes here, if you were to set up this particular width, which is about 60% width, if you were to set this particular width up, anytime it goes between that, you're printing. If you reduce the width, i.e. like this, to that, you'll get more back, but more likelihood you'll go out of range. In my opinion, wider ranges are better. And then people will say, well, what happens if with the price action, what happens then if it does this? And then you're not earning. One option is to set up, ignore that exact price, but let's just say you could set up one adjacent to it like that. So then it's earning here. When it comes back up there, it's earning there. Or you can overlap and let's say the price just does this. You can overlap the ranges, not rebalancing, by doing this and this. So then when it's here, you're earning, but then if it goes back up, then you're earning ×2 because you've got this pool and this pool. Two separate pools within the same range. Once it goes back up, earning. Reduced weight still in range. It's hard to comment if I don't know exact specifics. You can set a massive range, and it's easy to show on something like this. So see Orca as well. So this is the other one where it is Solana based, but it's good to show the ranges. So you can see on here, if you had a 10% range, on Solana, it's been in this range now for 2 weeks. Been in this range for 2 weeks, and it's only 98% APR, which is about 12% a month in this range. But then you could slightly modify that and go wider. And with that, obviously the API goes down 6% a month, 53% a year. But then you can set up you can do the same. If you want a tighter range, you set up below and above. And you can see the volume here is a bit better on this particular pair than the one I showed before. But this is where you do your research, you know. For the Pump and Solana one that I was in, I think that's doing pretty well for someone recently. This one here, 20%. You could probably go a lot wider with this range. %8 a month with a 50% range. That's been in since 6 weeks. Is Orca more accurate? It is. We're on about accurate. It is what I was talking about before. So it is accurate. It's just an average. So you've experienced, like I've said, you've got into a pool. Take Keto, for example. Look at the volume. The volume has been worse the last couple of weeks on this pool, whereas previously it has been double or triple. So therefore, the APR that you're getting is lower than the average. But because there's been so much volume last month, it has skewed the APR that you're getting now is lower. But the good thing about the APR is it's an average. So, meaning that it's variable. It's all based on volume. So as the volume goes up, then the yields will go back up. So the actual rewards that you're saying there, 20 cents, that'll change. It ain't gonna be 20 cents every day. Volume goes back to that. Could be $4, could be $6, could be $8, could be $2, could be $3. The problem people have in this game is they start a pool, do the maths that I did and that Ian's done here, seeing that it's slightly less, but fail to take into consideration the actual thing that is running the pool. And the thing that is running, or should I say the market, which is the volume. The volume. That is the main thing, because that's where all the fees come from. The fees don't come from the price action. So price go down does not mean fees go down. Price goes down. If the price went down a lot in a day, fees go up. That's just how it works, because there's a lot more trading between those pairs. So for a Solana USD pair, for example, people, when the price goes down, people are probably selling Solana to USDC. But then you'll also have people DCing in at the end of it. And when the price goes up, people are most likely selling USDC into Solana. But you need to give it time, because the problem is it's good, in essence, to test for a few days the same pool. I'm testing these Keto pools. It's obviously the same pair. So which pool has the best APR based on the pair? Because they're going to have similar volumes as such, because it's the same pair. So then you get into that pool for that pair that you're happy with. But the mistake people make is, for example, they're in an ETH USDC pool. They've done the maths, and in just one day, seen that instead of 104%, it's 42%. Then they do a test, let's say on Orca, and they'll test this pool and they go, oh, well, Solana's better because there's more volume in this pair. Then they'll get rid of their ETH for Solana, but then the same thing could happen. Yeah, the same thing you could jump from your Ethereum pool to the Solana pool because you're getting more APR, but then 1 month later, the Solana pool volume drops and then it goes back to ETH, and you're doing just flopping. It's just like with a coin, isn't it? You buy ETH, the price of Solana goes up, so then you buy Solana. But then when you buy Solana, the price of ETH goes up, so you go to ETH. And you just flip-flop in between coins over and over and over again, because one price is going higher than the other. And that is what people are doing with APRs. Well, the APR is higher on ETH, so I'm going to ETH. The APR is higher now on Solana, so I'm going to Solana. And you're just constantly grinding your money down, because you're constantly taking your assets out of the pool and then putting in a new one. Obviously, you've got to swap. You may have to swap between chains to get to a particular coin. And that's where we say don't chase APRs. The only time really you should be comparing the APRs is in the same pairing in the same pools. So like I said, with these Keto ones that I'm testing, the asset pairing is exactly the same, but it's in different pools. So I'm selecting the best pool for me because it's the same assets. And the thing that you should not do is probably put money into a shitcoin pool like this. But I'm doing the experiment. I'm losing the money, so you don't have to. So we've got the $100 I put in there, which is now $106, and I've earned $4 since yesterday doing it. Will this API go up? Maybe. Will it go down? Most likely, yes. But it's good to show you guys what happens, and I can report back and show you, I'd probably rather it crash, to be honest with you, because then I'd show the downside of liquidity pools and why you should, in theory, get into higher blue chip, as they say, coins rather than the shit coins like this. Because I've never heard of this coin, and it's just launched. And am I going to reach $100 in yield before this pool or this token rugs or crashes? We'll see. We'll see. This could run for a week. It could run for 3 weeks, a month. But the longer it goes on, the more unlikely it is, because people will be pulling the liquidity out. And the mistake people will make with a pool like this is they will see that they're getting a lot back compared to, say, the other pools, and then they'll chase the yield, put more in, and then lose the money. Because, in theory, in this ETH USDC pool, my deposit is a lot safer than in this shitcoin pool, because, ETH is the main asset in here, whereas in here it's ETH and whatever this coin is. And if this rugs, then, pool's gone. At least half the pool's gone. But you can see it happen in real time. See it happen in real time. To sum it up, with the main thing I want to get across is, of course, for me, rather than holding my coins for an extended period of time, I feel personally the best thing to do would be to yield and use your coins in liquidity pools. But again, it's not as simple as buying. People think when they get into crypto, when you first enter it, that it's simple. You buy a coin, then it goes up to a ridiculous amount. Obviously, you get in at the right time, yes, but it is the long game that you play. It's still a long game in crypto. Now, people think the same thing with DeFi pools. They think that they see the APR, they deposit the crypto, and that's it. High earnings. But there's a lot of little tweaks that you need to do. And of course, this is why I have the free DeFi guide. Link in the description if you want to do that. And again, if you want to fast track this, you want someone to hold your hand, you can join our community as well. Link in the description to book a call with the team. Because there's just little caveats that you need to understand and learn. I mentioned testing the pools, having a wide enough range, and then understanding what to do when it goes out of range and not just chasing the yield. The last thing you should do is chase the yield, which is basically just buying, not necessarily buying, but getting into the shitcoin pools, which is just like buying a load of meme coins. There is people out there that have a complete meme coin portfolio that has just died. And the same thing will happen if you swap, in my opinion, your blue chip assets. Let's say you had Ethereum, XRP, Solana. Let's say you grinded all that down, and now you're just throwing one last roll of the dice and you're putting it in these ridiculous pools like this that is earning 7,000%. You're just going to lose your money. So you've got to be sensible. You've got to be sensible. The last thing you should do is gamble. People will call crypto gambling, but the last thing you should do is just hop in a ridiculous pool and lose all your money. But when you're looking, let's just say you're looking at the farms, you're looking at the pools, go through slowly each one. Look at the total volume, past 7-day fees, average APR, getting a couple that are similar. Obviously, you're going to have to pick a chain that they're on to deposit, whether it's Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Base, Monad, Arbitrum, and test 2 to 3 pools of the same assets on the same chain. And when you do that, then you'll be able to understand which one works best for that particular asset pair, then run with it. Scale it up, see how you get on. And the idea is that you're using your existing assets, whatever they are, and you're using those existing assets to yield an ROI back rather than just sitting on your crypto doing nothing. And this is what a lot of the guys do say that start it. This is what a lot of the guys in the group say, saying that it's good to have some excitement in crypto, because when you first get into crypto, it is exciting. It is it feels good to get into crypto when you first get into it. Let's be honest, you either buy like a cold wallet, or you download like a hot wallet, or you open your first Coinbase account, or whatever it is. You get excited because you finally bought Bitcoin, you finally bought Ethereum. But I know a lot of people have got fatigue from entering the crypto market and wanting their coins to go up in 2025, to have the altcoin season in 2025, which we didn't get. And people and me, we're getting sick of the same old videos from people saying that, you know, so many coins are going to go to the moon and blah blah blah, and it didn't happen for a lot of people. So 2026, this is why I've gone towards DeFi the last few months, and this is why a lot of people have started this, because it's good to get excitement again. It's good to you know, be in control a bit more of what your crypto is doing, and understanding that if we are in for a sideways year in 2026, rather than just waiting for something to happen, you're actively going out there and trying to make something happen yourself, instead of just, you know, relying on the market, which, let's be honest, none of us can affect. You know, none of us can affect. A lot of people have left crypto this year just for the fact that they're not getting the returns that they think. But, you know, if you, in my opinion, stick at it, you yield what you've got, you stick with these pools, then you're going to get an ROI, and you're going to enjoy being in crypto again, as opposed to just waiting for a number to go up, which is what the majority of people are doing, unless they've already left. But yeah, that's it for me today for this quick stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back for more. And yeah, see you guys very soon.